You're listening to the Business Brain Food Podcast. This is episode 124.
Welcome to the podcast that gives you direct access to the world's leading business building experts. Head to MaxMyProfit.com.au to catch up on past episodes, download your free business growth tools, and access show notes for every single episode. Now here's your host, Ben Futrell.
Well, g'day and welcome back to another episode of Business Brain Food. This, my friend, is the podcast that's 100% devoted to taking you and your business to the next level. And the good news is, doesn't matter whether you're brand new to this business thing, so maybe you're just scratching that entrepreneurial itch, or maybe you're like myself and you've been in business for a long, long time and you've got the scars and the wounds to prove it no matter what. Always something new we can do to take our business to the next level. And today is absolutely no different. Super excited to have Wayne Berry coming onto the show. He has been teaching people how to sell everything for the last 40 years, and he's going to share some of that wisdom with you today. And if you're in business, or you're a business owner, you know how important it is to have a solid sales process, to be able to teach your salespeople how to use it and how to convert those prospects into sales. And without that, you don't have a business, right? So today is all about that. Now, before I do that, welcome. If you're a brand new listener, welcome to Business Brain Food Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Go back and listen to the previous 123 episodes. Don't do it right now, but of course, make sure you don't miss out on any of that great content. And if you are a long-time listener, so you've been listening to the Business Brain Food Podcast from the beginning, welcome back. Great to have you back, and thank you for tuning back into the show. If you are enjoying the show, remember, shoot across to the iTunes store, leave an honest review or rating. We'd love to see what you think and let other people know what you think about the show as well. Alrighty, so today we've got Wayne Berry coming on the show. He is Australia's own Top Gun sales coach, one of the most in-demand speaker on sales in the world. In not just sales, but also negotiating and in sales management. He is ranked in the top 7% of professional speakers in the world by the USA-based National Speakers Association, which is pretty cool. Not only is that, he's a best-selling author. He's written 4 best-selling books. One was Negotiating in the Age of Integrity, How to Get the Deal Every Time, How to Get the Best Sale Every Time, and How to Lead and Motivate a Top Gun Sales Team. Sold in over 13 different countries, and today we are lucky enough to have him on the Business Brain Food Podcast to share with you exactly how you go about becoming a Top Gun salesperson yourself. So, without any further delay, we're going to get him on the show. I just want to give ourselves a quick shameless plug. If you do love what Wayne's got to say and you're listening to this podcast before the 15th of March 2017, because I know a lot of you download it on the day it comes out, but you may be one of those stragglers that listens to this somewhere down the track. But on the 15th of March, we've got Wayne coming along to speak for 2 hours, and he's going to do 2 hours jam-packed full of how-to, gang. He's not going to just tell stories and make you want more. He's going to do 2 hours of how-to at this VIP event. So head to maxmyprofit.com.au/events. You'll see the one-day VIP event there. It's just $97. That is a free event, by the way, if you are one of our members. So if you're listening to this and you're one of our already existing members, don't worry. You do not have to pay for a ticket. You have it included. But if you'd like to come along as a VIP, it's $97. Head to maxmyprofit.com.au/events and buy yourself a VIP ticket. Not only do you get access to the event, but you also get access to our membership portal. You can't download anything or do any of the training, but you can have a look around so you can see what's in there, and that'll help you decide whether or not us helping you grow your business is for you. All right, no more gabbling on from me. Let's get stuck straight into this podcast. Let's get Wayne Berry and talk to him all about sales and find out how he's going to take your business to the next level.
Business Brain Food.
So extremely excited today to have Wayne Berry coming onto the Business Brain Food Podcast. Welcome to the show, Wayne.
Yeah, hi Ben, how you doing?
I'm fantastic, mate, fantastic. Now, every single episode I ask by starting my guests the same question, and that is for you to share something quirky about yourself.
It's time for something quirky. And now, something quirky.
Ben, I'm a bit of a prankster. Whenever I can have a lend of somebody, have a bit of good fun, I do. And I'm also a private pilot. And a little while back, flying in our own aircraft between Melbourne and Sydney, I noticed that everyone was asleep. There were 6 other people on board. So I put the plane, of course, it was on autopilot anyway, and I put my head forward and made it look like I was asleep and nudged the guy sitting next to me, my assistant, who woke up, looked around, saw everyone was asleep, including me, And I just wouldn't wake up. I wouldn't respond. He woke everyone else on the plane saying, the pilot's asleep. We won't wake up. Don't know what we're going to do. And I like doing things like that.
You're a nasty man.
I have other ones too, but we won't go into that now. But yeah, why not have some fun? Life's too serious. Make it fun.
Oh, I agree. What do you fly, Wayne?
That was a Beechcraft Bonanza. We used to fly around the countryside. I've been a pilot since my early 20s. It's something I always wanted to do, particularly when my teachers in school told me I wasn't bright enough. I'd never be able to be a pilot for the airlines, and they were right. Instead I got into sales and did quite well financially and bought my own airplanes. And I think I've had about 7 or 8 aircraft over the years. And that's a good lesson there. Don't believe what they tell you in school about what you can do and what you can't do.
Yeah, nice stuff. Funny. So I don't think I've had another pilot on the show. I'm a pilot myself and have my own Beechcraft Bonanza. So we've got more in common than we thought. There you go.
Indeed, yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Well, we're not here to talk about aeroplanes. We'll probably bore everybody if we do, although we could probably talk about aeroplanes all day.
Well, at some stage,
I'm sure we will. What I am interested in finding out more about, and I'm sure the listeners are as well, is sales. And I guess, we've got thousands and thousands of SMEs across Australia listening into the show that, know that sales is important, know that sales is a big part of their business, but they're probably, a lot of them are struggling to get the sales that they need. Maybe give us a bit of a wind back the clock and give us a bit of an idea of how you got into the whole sales Top Gun Business Academy and training people how to sell more.
Okay, yeah, look, sales has been very good to me, I guess, because I've been very good to sales. I started my sales career at a young age, only 17 years of age. In high school, as I said, I was in that half of the class that made the top half possible all the way through school. I just didn't like it. Teachers didn't like me too much either. And given the choice, go to university, what should I do? I decided my main motivation in that era was come from a working class family. I wanted to be, enjoy success, whatever that was. And for some reason, I thought it was money at that stage. I was a little naive. So I looked around and I found that some of the flashiest cars were being driven by salespeople. I decided to get into sales. I applied to the IBM Corporation. I was only 17. I mean, they had no interest in me. I applied to the Xerox Corporation. They had no interest in me. The reason I applied to those two companies was they had great products. It was coming into the computer era back then. And I knew they provided very good training, and their salespeople made a lot of money. And I knew this just because I'd spoken to salespeople at both those companies. So I was very sort of proactive. I went to another company called the NCR Corporation, National Cash Register, and I joined them in a sales support capacity because I was told I was too young to be in sales. At 17, I had to wait until I was 25. Cut a long story short, my boss went on long service leave. I gave myself a promotion. No one cared much what I was doing. I went out and I started making calls, got the attention of his sales manager who saw my passion. He said, look, if you're prepared to be here at 7 o'clock every morning, I'll share some ideas with you between 7 and 8. Go out there. If you put them into practice, we'll keep doing it. If you don't, you won't. We won't. We'll stop. And I was really fortunate to find that mentor in that early part of my career. He didn't think I'd succeed. He told me afterwards. But within the following 12 months, I was in the top 10% of sales producers, not just in Australia with the NCR Corporation, but internationally. I went to the CPC Century Points Club conference in Las Vegas, and I was 18 by the time I do that. Now, I don't tell that story to impress people. I tell that story to impress on everyone listening here now that all I did was I had no sales background. In fact, I had very little life experience, but all skills can be learned if you have a desire that's high enough. My desire was really high and still is to continue to learn new things. And you being a pilot, you know that 80% of people who decide to learn to fly never ever make it because they don't have the attitude and persistence to follow through and learn the skills. And let's face it, you don't have the skills when you're flying, you will crash and burn, and that will definitely spoil your day.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a good day, that's for sure. Now, it was interesting you said that the skills can be learned. You hear a lot of people say, but he's just a born salesman. Do you disagree with that? Do you say that people aren't born salespeople and they can learn it? Okay.
Yeah. Look, for sure, I certainly was not a born salesperson. I had a high desire, but I was shy. But I pushed myself. It was really hard. I made those cold calls. I called on IBM, Xerox, and NCR without an appointment. I went through their big glass doors at the front. 17-year-old kid in my suit, my $25 suit with absolutely no background of family in sales or business. I should have failed, but I had a really determined attitude, and I still take that attitude these days that all skills can be learned if you have a high desire. I transferred into the boating a little while back. We've now got an ocean-going catamaran, and some friends and family said to me a couple of years when I started getting involved in this, "You're too old to do this." Now, I'm a little over 60, and I said, "Well, no, I'm not, because I can do anything I want to do." And someone else said, "Well, why don't you wait until you retire, and then either the desire will go away, or then you'll have more time." I said, "No, well, you don't know how long you got to live. Like, let's do it now." So coming back to your original question, all skills can be learned. It doesn't matter how old you are. Doesn't matter how young you are. Doesn't matter any aspect. The key to success in sales and in business and in life, as I'm sure you know, Ben, is attitude. If you have an attitude, you're willing to grow and learn, then I think there's almost, I'll never be a ballerina, but I mean, we're going to be realistic. But there's so much that we can do if our attitude is there. And people in small business who put up this excuse, "Oh, look, times are tough and the economy's no good and the competition is too hard and everyone wants a cheaper price." I'm sorry, those are symptoms of somebody who does not have the appropriate selling skills and negotiating skills to handle the situations, because and I know many business operators, SMEs, who are enormously successful. Their business is booming in a marketplace that's tough for everyone, with a product that's similar to other people, but they're selling at a higher price and their business is going well. And it takes skills to do that.
Yeah, and I'm always interested to know, I mean, you've let the cat out of the bag now with your age, so you've been in sales for a little more than a year or two.
Yeah.
Have you seen a big shift in the way that selling skills have had to change and adapt, or would you say that they haven't, and they're exactly the same as what they were, when you started off in sales all those years ago?
Look, I think that our consumer today, the people that we sell to or help, and by the way, I define selling as simply helping people. It's not clever, tricky stuff or arm twisting, although some people still think it is, and sadly, some sales trainers still try to teach that clever, tricky stuff. But I think we're dealing with people now who are much more educated. I mean, people jump on the web. They do a lot more research compared to the days when I was first in sales, and I had to really educate my prospects as to the value of and how products work. But people come to us these days with a whole lot of information. They've done the research on the web. They've checked us out. They've checked you out on your Facebook page, which is important too, by the way, that you don't have crazy stuff on your Facebook page. So they know who you are. They know who your company is. They know who your competitors are. They've probably spoken to your competitors. So it's changed in that respect. However, the skills to build trust, build a relationship, and be human and look after them is even more important now, Ben, I think, than the old days, because there's so much online business done these days. Years ago, I was told, and you may have been told too, hey, we won't need salespeople in the future. Everyone will just buy online. Well, you and I are consumers, and I'm sure you've had the situation where you look online, you get a whole lot of information, and you get confused. It's like too much information, and then you come across a professional who asks you the right questions, who builds a trusting relationship with you, and suddenly you feel, wow, this person can help me. So I think the ability to be human and be a true sales professional who has a high desire to help people, I think those salespeople are even more important in the marketplace than in yesteryear. And if you can be that person when your competitors are very robotic or not very skilled or try to do it all online, I think, again, you can stand out like a beacon in the wilderness and you can build a very strong business while your competitors are in trouble.
Yeah, good tips. I think, you just mentioned there professional salespeople. I'm interested, Wayne, to hear what your definition of a professional salesperson is, and is there a distinction between a professional and just a salesperson in your mind?
Well, put it to you this way. I think the greater majority of salespeople out there are amateurs. And what's the difference between a professional anything and an amateur? Well, a professional has had, number one, the training, and the amateur generally has not. The professional is serious and they see it as a profession versus a kind of will dabble in it from time to time, and it's kind of a bit of a hobby and kind of something I do on the side. I don't know about you as a pilot. I remember someone once introduced me and said, Wayne is an amateur pilot. No, I'm not. I'm a professional pilot. When you fly with me, you better be sure I'm a professional pilot. So, like you and I take piloting and flying seriously, and we are very professional. We're as professional as the airline pilots. We just fly a different category of aircraft, but we are just as professional. Or number one, we're not allowed to hold a license, and number two, we die very quickly. And I say that because that's the case with amateur business people. Let's face it, there are a lot of people in business who are amateurs. They fail. Their businesses fail. You'd know better than me what the average length of life of a business is before it fails, but I mean, a lot fail in the first 12 months. Some fail with an even better percentage. What you'd know the figures within 3 years, 10 years. What is it?
It's now 93% fail in the first 5 years.
Well, I've been in business 40 years, so I guess I'm doing something right. And tell you what I'm doing right. Well, the things I'm not trying to be smarty there. It's this, the major thing I'm doing right is I know how to sell. And I always can sell myself, sell my business, sell my services, and enjoy an incredibly good life. Now, that's my advice to anyone in business. Now, I don't care whether you're a lawyer, you're an accountant, a dentist, a vet, or you sell tires or furniture or whatever you do. You will be in business for a very long time if you know how to sell. And some people might scratch their head and say, vets don't need to know how to sell, doctors don't need to know. Yes, they do these days. It is highly competitive. People have a choice. And the most successful, like, for example, I train many accountants. I train lawyers because it's highly competitive. We have vets who've done our programs. So, regardless of the business, selling and being able to have that personal relationship with clients and customers today is even more important than it has ever been. And we need to be better. And if we are better, we reap the rewards.
Yeah. And do you find that, this is what we find, is we find a lot of people very passionate about their product, and they get out there and they tell people a lot about because they're excited, right? They tell people about what they've come up with or their idea or their business, but they're just not getting the sales. What would your advice be to those type of business owners?
Okay, a quick lesson in salespeople generations. There are 5 generations of salespeople. This is what we train in. Number one is the quote giver, and they think their job is to simply give a quote. So somebody phones their business and says, how much is your price on such and such, and they give a quote. They don't add any value to the relationship. They simply quote a price, and surprise, surprise, the customer says, oh, thank you very much, I'll get back to you. And of course, what do? Then they pick up the phone, they call something else. But they think they've done a great job. They do what the client asked for. Customer asked for a price. They gave a price. Of course, they're doing a great job, aren't they? But they add no value. Second one is what I call the product blogger. And this is a little bit like the person you just described there. They're so enthusiastic about what they have that they bombard the person with so much information, too much information about their product or service. Hence, they tend to say, many things that don't apply to the person, and they bore the person, and they don't get a good result at all. The next type is what I call the order taker, and I guess that they may also have some common elements of the first two. They maybe quote a price, they talk about their product, but they're not proactive in any way. They sort of just will take an order if you force it on them. They're not very proactive in asking for the business. And I don't know about you, but really, in most cases these days, I won't worry about this for a bag of donuts or milkshake or something. But like if I'm looking at buying something and I'm spending some serious dollars, if somebody doesn't actually ask me to buy, I take that as they're not very confident in what they're putting up to me. They're not that enthusiastic. So I maybe I'm a bit difficult, but I generally will move on to somebody else that wants a relationship with me, and that's really important. That brings me to level 4. Level 4 is the problem solver, sales professional who says to me, oh, Wayne, look, I hear what you come in here for. I hear what you say you want. Do you mind if I just ask you a few questions so I understand your situation and what you're going to use this for? And then I'll be clear on what to recommend to you. I said, well, wow, sure. What would you like to know? Now I feel I'm in the hands of a professional who does that has that one skill that is so important, the ability to ask questions. And just by saying that, they're telling me that they care. They don't want to flog me something. They want to show me their full range. They genuinely want to understand what my problem is. They want to solve my problem. And that's the sort of person I look for to buy from. And I don't know about you, but I really look for relationships these days. I don't look for a transaction. I look for somebody that I can call on an ongoing basis and say, hey, I need 2 more tires for my car. What would you recommend? What's the investment going to be? Can you fit it? Can you give me a loan car? I say, I want the relationship so they give me more than just the product or the service. They're going to look after me service. They're going to give me a loan car or whatever, or they're just going to help me. And I think customers are looking for salespeople like that these days. Fifth generation is one step on, and that is where you become the friend in the business. You've positioned yourself in your customer's mind as an authority in your area. That is your area of expertise, maybe even in your geographic area. And people have a relationship with you. They will not make a move. They will not buy from anyone else. They will not make a move until they talk with you. And that applies to their friends. If they hear a friend who also wants to buy something similar, they say, you need to talk to Ben, or you need to talk to Jake. And they wheel in new business. So that fifth and fourth generation, that's where you start to set yourself apart from your competitors, regardless of your business. And you can really just work as I do and as you probably do by referral. So much business just flows to me, flows to you, and successful business operators, so much business flows to them because of the relationships they've developed.
Yeah, good stuff. Now, if I'm one of those product floggers, because you do see this a lot, people excited about their business or their idea, but I want to get better at sales, and I want to learn how to become that problem solver, and then of course the friend in that business that gets referred. Yeah. Where do I start? Because I mean, nobody wants to suck at sales. Everyone wants to build their business, and of course, sales is critical. Let's face it. So where would I start if I'm struggling, I'm no good at sales? What would you advise?
Well, I mean, there's many things that you can do. It depends how quick you want to master it. It depends how quick you want to master anything. I mean, if you want to master something slowly, and I put you in the category of an amateur there who's not that serious, well, get a book and read a book or listen to some audios or something like that. And that's better than nothing. It's a little bit like learning to fly. I mean, you can take years to learn how to fly. You can read all the manuals, read all the books, and maybe look at things on YouTube. Or you can make a serious investment of your time and dollars and get serious and accelerate your success. So, in the case of you and I, we went to a flight school. We signed up, we committed, we put our dollars down. An interesting thing was that once we put our dollars down and we commit to, becoming a professional pilot, we then really sort of get into it in a professional way. And that means that, we'll achieve that success that we want much, much faster than if we're simply fooling around, dabbling in it. So that would be my advice to anyone in business who wants to get their sales up fast. Do it on purpose. Don't sort of dabble in it. Don't sort of pick up a bit here, pick up a bit there. And these days, we only work with serious people. I've been doing sales training, negotiating skills training, sales management training for many, many years, and I stopped doing it about 10 years ago. Our business now has a coaching model. Training is where, we have people, about 20,000 people a year come through our workshops and public programs I used to do. And they'd invest their $100 or $200 and come for an evening or 3 hours in the morning or a day even. And they'd take away some ideas and maybe they'd use them, maybe they wouldn't use them. So we changed the model. We said, well, we now work with people who are serious. They want to work with us for at least 3 months and possibly 12 months or more. And we fully understand what it is they do. We become a part of their business, a little bit like you with your clients. We understand, their products, their services, their marketplace, and we coach them. So we train them, but coaching is where, as you know, you help the people to implement what they're learning, and we go one step further, as I'm sure you do, Ben. We have accountability built into our processes. So we, if you like, force them to take action on what they're learning. And, of course, every time we do what we know we should do, we feel terrific. Every time we don't do what we know we should do, we don't feel good. So we just take that element of chance out of it, and we only work with the people who are absolutely serious about taking the ideas and using them. And for those people, they get extraordinary results. They're amazing stories, and it's very heartwarming. I like that. I like working with people on an ongoing basis. So do my coaches. I have coaches now who do this work as well. And that's much better than, seeing, 2,000 people in a big room and sharing ideas, and I get on the next plan, I'm gone.
I always ask people, say, how many people have been to an event or workshop, written down a whole bunch of ideas and then gone away and done nothing? And that's pretty much everybody, isn't it?
Absolutely. Commitment's the key.
Yeah, okay. So I guess I'm interested to hear your perspective too. We've talked a bit about sales skills and being a professional, and you can decide whether you learn slowly from a book or get someone like a coach like you guys have got, which is going to accelerate your learning. What about things like sales process? What's the importance of having a sales process or system behind you? Do you feel that that's something that all business owners should be putting some time and effort into, or where's your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, Ben. It's a matter of identifying the process, and again, often we need a little bit of help with that from a professional who can say, well, okay, what is the process? Where do your inquiries come from? What's the marketing you do? And some companies and individuals and SMEs, they spend a lot of time and money to get the phone to ring or people to walk into their business. They perhaps do social media marketing and Facebook and Twitter and all of these different things. And then the problem is when the person actually contacts them, the inquiry is handled badly. They walk into the business and the person meeting them handles it badly, or the phone rings and it's handled badly, or they get something through email from their website and somebody makes an outbound call and does it badly. So this is, as you say, map the process. What step one is, what step two, and look at the steps. What steps are being handled well? What are being handled not so well? For example, I'll often have business people and sales managers say, listen, could you come and speak at our conference? I say, well, I don't do so much of that these days, but if I did, tell me what do you want them to learn how to do? And I think you know the answer to this, Ben, before I talk about it. The answer is, for most of these sales managers or business owners, teach our people how to close the sale. I can do that in 10 minutes, but the process up to that point, if they haven't developed trust, if they haven't built rapport, if they haven't asked the appropriate questions to understand their clients' needs, if they've made the wrong recommendation because they haven't asked the right questions, it doesn't matter how good the price is, how good the offer is, the customer's not going to say yes. So we can show you people how to ask for the order in 10 minutes, but if the rest of the process hasn't been done well, it's a waste of time, and it's frustrating because the salesperson or the business owner gets to the point where they think they're doing a great job, but people aren't buying. And then they think, well, there's something wrong with the product, there's something wrong with the offer. No, it's the process hasn't been handled well. So blueprinting your process, and sometimes we do need someone from the outside to look at our business and give us that advice. We actually do that when we talk to every salesperson or business we operate. We take them right through what we call a selling skills assessment, where we go right through all of their sales process and work out what they're good at and what they're not good at. And some things they're really good at, but other things they're not good at, and these steps are letting them down. And as a result, it's a little bit like you and I flying. We have a process. When we fly the plane, we have checklists. Like when you're approaching the airport and coming in, you do certain things. You do your certain checks on your downwind leg, certain checks on your bus, certain checks on. If you forget one of those little processes like undercarriage down and locked, you're not going to have a good landing. And same thing with the sale. If they if they don't know how to handle that objection, they don't understand the process. They're not going to have a smooth landing of the sales as a pilot. We work on lists and process, and sales is a process. It's not the gift to the gab. It's, good communication skill is important, but you don't need to be some extrovert with the gift of the gab to be a good salesperson. What you really need is process. Handle the process well, and that's a communication process.
Yeah, one of the things that from a feedback I've heard from a lot of people, and I'm not a great believer in sales scripts myself, but they find sales scripts to be a little bit clinical, and of course takes the human element out. Are you a fan of sales scripts, or do you how do you teach people what to say or how to say it in that process?
That's interesting. Very, very good question. Look, salespeople tell me, business people tell me, we don't like scripts, we don't use scripts. And I said, well, okay, just describe your product or service to me. And they rattle it off. They, get right into it. So have you ever explained your product or your service like that before? Oh, yeah, I do all the time. I mean, pretty much word for word. Is this how you do it? Oh, yeah, this is how I do it every time. Guess what? You're using a script. And it's coming out of your head, and you possibly change the script a bit every time. And they would agree, well, yes, I do. And yes, I do describe it. So, yeah, I guess I am kind of using a script. It's just that the script isn't necessarily a very empowering one. So what I say there is words matter. Words really do matter. Like, for example, if you talk in terms, if you're constantly saying, well, this is the expensive unit, they're words, and you can change that with, this is our high-end unit that delivers more value than any of the others. Now, that's the same way of saying this is our expensive one. So do those words make a difference? And the answer is absolutely they do. So look, we do teach scripts. And how do you get to sound natural with a script, which is, I think, most people's concern, so they don't want to sound robotic. How do you become really good at anything? And the answer is practice, practice, practice. I mean, when you get on the platform, Ben, I bet you use certain words and phrases all the time, yet they sound so natural coming from you. Nobody would think it's a script, but you've been in front of audiences many times. You've worked at what works, what you get a good response from. And you think, oh, I'll do that again. I'll do that again. I'll do that again. And so it's we as professional speakers, I used to marvel at people like James Rowan and Dennis Wakely, Earl Nightingale, Tom Hopkins, Brian Tracy speakers I used to bring to Australia in the 1980s to do their seminars. I used to watch them and think, how can they stand on the platform for 3 or 4 hours without notes and deliver like this? Easy. They're working to a script that they have practiced so much, so well, that it sounds perfectly natural. So, yeah, scripts are important. Most people use bad ones, replace them with good ones and practice them until they sound natural. And it pays dividends. I mean, professional speakers get paid extraordinarily well because they deliver scripts in a very natural way. Salespeople who deliver scripts in a very natural way get paid well as well.
Yeah,
Simple
good.
as that.
Great answer. I was as I was listening to that, I was just thinking, you are right. We use scripts. I think what's a really good distinction there, though, and I think, you said there's a couple of different ways to say the same thing, is maybe, you're saying we should also educate salespeople. Salespeople should be educated into, what does work and what doesn't work, and maybe be prepared to change the script if something's not working.
Absolutely. Look, I've got something I'd be happy to send your listeners a link to this video called 16 Most Powerful Words in the English Language. It's a 4-part video series. Each video is only about 3 minutes long, but I've had so many people tell me that they have looked at those videos and they've changed their language, and it has empowered them enormously, because we habitually use words that aren't so empowering, but we can habitually use words that are extraordinarily persuasive and powerful. It's a choice.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, if you want to send me through that link, I'll make sure it goes in the show notes. Now, another common problem we see with business owners, Wayne, is that the business owner is really good at sales, get out there and get sales easily, but they want to scale their business. And so they start hiring salespeople, and they can't duplicate their own results. Do you see this happening?
Yes, I do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Most business owners and sales managers, I'll put them in the same category, because that's anyone who wants to really leverage themselves through having other people do sales for them. They create their own problems, number one, by hiring the wrong people in the first place. So it does come down to the selection criteria. And my advice around that, I have a lot of advice around that. We actually train sales managers and leaders in selecting the right people. But number one, hire on attitude first. All skills are learnable if the person has the right attitude. So you look for a helpful attitude for a start. Look for coachability when you're hiring. Is this somebody who is coachable? Will they learn? Will they take time to learn new skills and learn about your products and services? And so again, bringing new people on board, particularly in sales, is again a process. If you know the process of how to find good people in the first place, because good people are found. They're not necessarily responding to your advertisements. They already are successful and already have a job. It's a matter of how you find these people. Second thought there is, to attract good people first, you must be attractive. Quoting my friend and mentor, James Rowan, who used to say that frequently, if a sales manager or business owner wants to attract good people into their business, they first have to be attractive, not just as a place to work, not just good products and services, but as an attractive person to come and work with, because you have some skills that you can teach people coming on board with you. So I've noticed, and you've probably noticed, that good sales managers tend to have good salespeople. Poor sales managers tend to have very poor salespeople, and it makes logical sense, because if you're a really good professional salesperson, you wouldn't come and work for I'll be slightly insulting here, but you wouldn't come work for a turkey, would you? I'm sorry, but unprofessional people can only attract turkeys, and that's why we so often see, and I so often say, the team will always be a reflection of the manager. If you have an outstanding entrepreneur, an outstanding salesperson as a sales manager, they'll attract good people. If you have somebody who's not skilled in sales, not skilled in sales management, not a skilled and professional leader, I'm sorry, but they're only ever going to attract people who would work with somebody like that. Good people work for good people, poor people, and, unprofessional people work for other unprofessional people. So it starts with us. We need to be ourselves good leaders, ourselves good sales managers, ourselves good salespeople. And the good news, all skills can be learned if you have the high desire to do it quickly. And, learning quick pays dividends in the long run. That's the only way you can scale your business and grow your business.
If I'm a business owner that isn't good at sales and maybe doesn't want to be good at sales, can I hire that person? Is that an option?
Yeah. Look, absolutely. And again, I said before, it's good if you've got good selling skills, but you don't have to. If you recognize that you're a technical person or you're an entrepreneur and you don't want to be involved in the sales process, but you're an attractive leader, yes, you can hire someone. You can attract somebody who's got skills that you don't have, and they will respect you and they will work with you. The only thought there is that you've got to manage these people. You really need to know whether they're doing a good job or not in sales. You don't have to be outstanding in sales yourself, but I truly believe you need to understand the sales process and hence know whether the people you hiring are doing a good job, which is why when we train and coach salespeople, we always say to the sales manager or the business owner, I know you don't want to be in sales, but you need to do the sales program with your people so you know whether they're doing a good job or not. It'll show up in the results, but if you understand the process and what they're supposed to be doing, then you'll know quickly, are they doing the job properly? You won't have to wait for the results to be there or not. And similarly, if you have somebody who's doing really, really well and then suddenly their results drop off, you can spot what they're not doing, what they've changed, because generally business will drop off, results will drop off because we as human beings change a proven process. So it's still important to have the selling skills and sales management abilities and leadership skills. But then we can leverage ourselves by hiring others to do it. But we don't have to be, the number one salesperson in our business if we're not good at it.
Yeah. Well, that's good news for some people listening. But having said that, like I said, if they sit through any sales coaching or education that's going on, it's such good skills to have for so many parts of life, not just selling, isn't it? So,
well, we sell and negotiate in every area of our life, don't we? We do it. I've written 3 books on negotiating, and I've studied negotiating, and I've studied great negotiators and business people. And what I've noticed is really successful business people are great negotiators, and they don't come across as pushy. They don't come across as great negotiators. They come across as people who just seem to communicate well and get their own way almost all the time without rubbing other people the wrong way. In fact, they do it in such a way that people want to help them get what they want all the time. And that's the elegant way of negotiating. And again, it's a skill that's learnable.
Yeah, which is great news. Now, you talked a bit about being able to manage a sales team, and I'm interested to hear your views on that. Things like, in your thoughts, how do you manage a salesperson? Is it through ongoing coaching? Is it KPIs? Is it regular meetings? What have you found working these days?
All of the above, Ben. Absolutely. Number one, you start off with KPIs. If people don't have targets, how can you know if they're doing a good job or not? And I don't just mean a sales target, but it's surprising the number of companies, particularly the smaller ones, who have no budgets. They have no sales budget. They have no sales target for their people. I know because we interview their salespeople and we say, well, what's your monthly target? We don't have one. I talk to the business owner. Well, how come you guys don't have a monthly target? We just do our best. Well, if you don't have a target, then you don't know whether they're hitting it or not. They have nothing to aim for. So in some companies, just by bringing in sales targets for the salespeople, we've seen sales increase because suddenly now they've got a target to work for. But of course, activity is the main key. So it starts with defining the key steps. For example, if you've got a traditional kind of business where people are proactive or should be proactive going out and seeing prospects, then, let's set a target for each person of how many new prospecting calls they'll make per week. Is it 10? Is it 5? Is it 20? Is it 50? And then how many first meetings will they have? And that first meeting could be by phone. But I mean, when they actually get a meeting with a client to sit down and understand their needs and ask questions, we call that first meeting. How many presentations are you expecting for them to do each week? Is it going to be 5, 10, 15, or 2? What's acceptable? And then, what's their conversion ratio from presentations to sales made? Because the interesting thing is that as we improve skills, our ratios become better. And as our skills decline, or if we fall into bad habits, our ratios get worse. So we need these clearly defined targets for each individual to know whether they're doing a good job or not. And frankly, we as human beings, we tend to be target-seeking creatures. If you give people targets and you praise them for the achievement of their targets, people tend to go after the targets. And we often say, if you handle the numbers and you take care of the numbers, the sales will come. If you're not doing the numbers, the sales will not come. It really is a numbers game. Still is a numbers game. Always has been. I think it always will be. And skills improve the ratios, but the numbers are still important.
Very, very important. Yeah. Now, and when it comes to
then ongoing training. And then ongoing training, coaching, sales meetings, all of those things, man. It's a very big subject.
So when it comes to meetings, and I know we're sort of running out of time, but I just wanted to pick your brains on this one. When it comes to sales meetings, I've heard different schools of thought where you should have a 1 hour long meeting with all your salespeople, and I've heard other people say we just have a 10-minute power meeting every morning. Have you found one working better than the other, or?
It depends. Depends on the team, depends where they're up to, depends where they are. Some people have salespeople scattered all over the place. And if that's the case, you involve them in your sales meeting by video conferencing. And I do mean video conferencing, I don't mean phone in. Because when they phone in, they can be checking their emails, they can be doing all sorts of things. You don't have the engagement. So video conferencing is really important if your people can't be there in person. Do you have those weekly? Do you have them daily? I say at least a minimum of weekly. Here's my other thought around meetings. Make them worthwhile. Don't make them boring. Don't make them depression sessions. Don't make them where you berate people. Put value into your meetings. Have an element of training in the meetings. Have a sharing of success stories, when you kick your meeting off. So what's working? Who's got what business? Let's find out who's taken some orders. Give us the story behind that, John. That's a really great story. Well done, John. Show appreciation. So the meetings become a part of your culture in the organization. As I say, whether the people are there live in the room or whether you bring them in via video conference, you can create that sense of team, that sense of excitement on either a weekly basis or a daily basis. If you're doing it daily, they can be shorter. If you're doing them weekly, I suggest have at least a 30 to 45 minute meeting at your meeting that involves sales talk. And there can be an element of training, an element of coaching, like some role plays, a sharing of success stories, case studies. Make your meetings exciting that people want to come to be recognized for doing a good job and also to learn. Again, my friend and mentor Jim Ryan used to say, don't ask what you'll make at your job, ask what your job will make of you, and create a culture that people are attracted to work with you because they're learning, they're growing, they're becoming a better person, a better professional all the time because of the culture and the training you provide in your organization.
Yeah, great stuff. Some good tips there from Wayne Berry, who has, no doubt trained and coached, probably thousands now, hundreds of thousands in sales over the years. Now, Wayne, how can people find out more, buddy?
Go to our website, Top Gun BA, or just remember my name, wayneberry.com.au. That takes you to our website, or Google me or something like that. So it's Top Gun Business Academy International, or topgunba.com.au, or simply wayneberry.com.au. When you go to our website, there's a little video right at the beginning there, and an offer to download. There's a couple of ebooks there that are very, very useful. One is on selling. And there's one on sales management. They're freely available. There's another really excellent audio program there that you can download called How to Increase Your Sales by 30% or More in 90 Days or Less. I seem to recall it's about a 27-minute audio program. A lot of great ideas in there. I talk about the 10 key characteristics of all high-performing salespeople. You just go and download them there. You can also subscribe to our Top Gun video tips. They come out on a weekly basis. You can also tick the box for more information about our sales coaching programs or our sales management coaching programs or our leadership programs. And either myself or one of our coaches will be happy to have a chat with you and provide whatever information you'd like.
Great stuff. So a lot of links there. We'll put them all in the show notes, but topgunba.com.au. If you go straight there, I'm on that website now. I can see you can get free weekly sales tips. You've got a fantastic blog with some awesome information on there. Wayne, thanks, mate, so much for coming on the Business Brain Food podcast and sharing your wisdom on sales, because I know, it's easy to take for granted, but you've got, what's this, 40 years of experience in this field, not only in sales yourself, but in teaching other people how to sell. And, you can't put a price on that. So thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
It's been a real pleasure, Ben.
Fantastic. Now, a little added bonus too that I'll just mention quickly is you're actually going to be in Sydney in a couple of weeks. So if you are listening to this podcast when it comes out on the 1st of March, Wayne is going to be in Sydney in a couple of weeks, and he's coming along to do a 2-hour speaking slot, which you say you don't do many, so I'm really honoured that you're coming along at our Business Acceleration Conference on the 15th of March, and VIP tickets are available for that. You can head to MaxMyProfit.com.au and just click on the events tab, and you can grab yourself a ticket and come and meet Wayne in person at the Business Acceleration Conference. I'm really looking forward to that, Wayne.
It'll be a lot of fun and a lot of how-to ideas. Not a lot of stories. It'll be how-to ideas that our listeners, if they choose to come along, can take and use immediately to increase their sales. Guaranteed that.
Fantastic. Well, all we've got left to do, my friend, is the 60-second scramble. Are you ready for that?
Oh, gosh. Okay. Scramble in 60. All right. Go ahead.
Here we go. Favorite app on your phone?
Favorite app is probably my navigation app when I'm sailing.
Awesome. Best way to tune out and relax?
Sailing.
Sailing. Is that sailing or selling?
Both.
Do you have a hidden talent?
No, I don't hide my talents.
No? Okay. Who is your mentor? Sounds like maybe Jimmy Rowan.
Look, yeah, some of my mentors have now gone to God, but that's, you can still keep in touch via their audios. So Jim Rowan's probably one of the best mentors I ever had.
Yeah, he's a great, very inspiring man. Number one tip for being more efficient?
Think for yourself and don't take for granted what other people tell you is the best way to do something.
Excellent. What's your favourite drink?
Probably sparkling mineral water these days, yeah.
So just backing off on the anything but, eh? All right. And one last one. I always like asking authors this. You can't answer with your own book, but what's your favourite book?
Favourite book? Well, this is controversial. I have quite a few favourite books that have been written by President Donald Trump. They're some of the ones that I have in my mind that I've read recently. I quite like.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's polarising, but I tell you what, the man's, you got to give it to him for being out there and doing what he feels is right. So, yeah, interesting. All right, mate. Once again, thanks so much for coming on the Business Brain Food podcast. We'll put all the links into the show notes. So if you're listening and you couldn't write down those links, head to topgunba.com.au or AU rather, Google Wayne Barry, or if you want to come along and see Wayne live at the Business Acceleration Conference on the 15th of March in Sydney. Tickets are just $97 for that event as a VIP, and you get access for the entire day. Go to maxmyprofit.com.au and you can grab your tickets there. Just click on the events tab. Once again, Wayne, thanks so much, mate, and good luck with the sailing and the flying, and we'll look forward to catching up with you soon.
Indeed. Bye now.
Learn more to earn more.
Well, I'm sure you'd agree that was a pretty jam-packed episode. And I'll tell you what, I love getting people like Wayne on the show. He disclosed his own age, being in his 60s. He's been around the block a few times when it comes to sales. And I think you'd agree that sales is a pretty important facet of succeeding in business. And so I see too many business owners that don't have a sales process, that don't know how to manage their sales team. And he gave you some great insights in there, how to run a sales meeting, how often, what you should say, what KPIs you should set. It was just absolute gold in there. So, find out more by going to topgunba.com.au or look up Wayne Berry. Just Google Wayne Berry and put Top Gun after it. You'll find all these things come up on Google. He's a very popular man, in-demand speaker, as I said at the beginning of the show, and you'll find him. Go and join his weekly sales tips newsletter because I think you'll find that alone is huge value, just giving you that weekly sales tip to your inbox. And here's a little tip for you. You can use that as your weekly sales training in your sales meeting. So go and sign up now and take advantage of Wayne's hard work, making it easier for you to get more sales in your business. All right. On a final note, just a reminder, if you did enjoy the interview with Wayne, please jump across to maxmyprofit.com.au/events. Grab yourself a VIP ticket, just $97. If you're already a member of one of our programs, the day is free for you and your business partner and some of your team. So you don't need to buy a ticket. But if you're not a member already, head to that website, maxmyprofit.com.au/events, and grab your ticket today. Places will sell out. We do have limited seats available. But if you want a full 2 hours of how to sell with Wayne Berry, this is your chance to get there. 15th of March 2017. Now, of course, if you're listening to this podcast after that event, you can still go there, grab one of those tickets. We'll still have some other amazing speaker coming along. We always get amazing speakers, and when you click on the page, it'll open up and explain who's coming along to speak at the event. So that's maxmyprofit.com.au/events. Alrighty. Well, that's it. We're pretty much at the end of the show now. Thanks once again for tuning in. It was great to have you along. If you are enjoying the show, please jump into the iTunes store, leave an honest review and rating. I do love to read them all. I've been Ben Futrell. You've been bloody fantastic for tuning in again. Thanks for having me. Until next week, have a profitable day.
You can fly high.